Alright then, I'm going to start painting this mouth with my brush loaded with pure burnt umber. And I'm starting out by painting the darkest part of the mouth, which is in an open mouth, is almost always the corners of the mouth. The reason it's so dark is what you're looking into is into the unlit mouth. The mouth keeps any light from getting in there. The lips do. So it's very dark in there. And again with this, doing this with burnt umber. Now this course, in this model's picture, basically what we can see of her teeth is the four front teeth. So this little bit of painting I'm doing with the pure burnt umber helps to define the outline of those teeth. Bring this right to the corner of the mouth right here. Now, without even cleaning my brush, I'm going to pick up some burnt sienna and some red. So now I've got a pretty dark mixture on my brush, but a little redder than what I had with the pure burnt umber. And now what I'm painting is the second darkest part of the mouth, which would be the upper lip, and particularly the lower part of the upper lip where it would be most shaded. And I'm going to make this pretty dark. Now I'm working with a similar color mixture, basically red and burnt sienna, but now I've mixed in a little white just to lighten it up. So I'm going to make the top part of this lip, the upper lip, just a tiny bit lighter than I did the bottom part of the lip. And I'm going to blend those two together so there's no like hard line between them. Basically I'm just making this a little lighter than I did the bottom part of the lip, because that's the way it would be as a general rule. Things that are higher, generally speaking, catch a little more light. And then as the lip rolls down toward the teeth, it's shading that upper lip more and more. So I wanted it, and I'm making it a little darker toward the bottom of the upper lip than the top. Now, I'm going to use a mixture very similar to that. Similar to the mixture I used on the lightest part of the upper lip. I'm going to use a very similar mixture, if not exactly the same. I haven't consciously tried to change it at all. For the top part, which will be the darkest part of the lower lip. So the lightest part of the upper lip is going to be equal in this painting, or roughly equal, to the lightest parts of the upper lip. So what is the darkest part here, or there maybe, is going to be, the lightest part of the upper lip is going to be the darkest part of the lower lip. Now I want this lip to look like it rolls fullest here, recede there, and recede here. So I'm going to use that same shade basically to paint the bottom part of this lip. Now, this is the part of the lip I want to look full. I want to look like this is advancing toward the viewer. So I'm painting this with a little bit lighter mixture than what I used on the top and on the bottom. Now I want it lighter still, so I'm going to take some, just get some white on my brush without cleaning my brush, and I'm just going to lighten that up a little more with that lighter white mixture. I want it lighter still, particularly where I'm about to paint the highlights, so I'm doing it one more time. Get it just a little lighter right there in the fullest part of the lip. Now I've cleaned my brush with mineral spirits and I've dried it with a paper towel. So now I'm going to go back and just blend just a little bit. Starting with the top lip, that's all I wanted to do. And in the bottom lip, I just want to get rid of these hard lines dividing the darker, redder parts with the lighter part. I want that to flow a little better. So I'm just running my brush gently along that line to blend out that line a little bit. I don't mind that there's a division between the colors there. There's supposed to be. But I don't want a visible line between them. There are very few lines on an actual human face. Okay, now I like what I've done. I'm happy with my lower lip. I've got it darker there, a little darker on the insides, particularly in the corners of the mouth, and then I've got it lightest right in the middle, so it kind of has that effect that it's rolling out to us. Now that my brush is clean, I'm going to pick up some pure white paint, and I'm going to paint some highlights in, and I'm going to do this with vertical strokes. Start over in the side, not make them very deep. Then as I come this way, make them deeper. Little longer strokes. And as I get here, make them a little smaller still. Kind of blend them out there. I want a little bit more over in the corner. Do a little tiny bit of blending. Remember, vertical strokes, up and down. Okay. I don't hate that, but I'm a little too light here, so I'm just going to blend this a little bit so that I don't have that quite as much pure white there. And I might bring it out a little bit further toward the other side of the mouth. So I'm assuming here, and I can tell that by looking at my figure, that the light is generally coming from this direction. It's generally coming from this side of the painting. So that's why I've got more highlight right through here where it would catch the lip and a little less over on this side. So basically, this is not a bad mouth, and that's about all you have to do. So now we're going to turn our attention to the teeth. So I'm starting out with a mixture of burnt umber and white, a fairly dark mixture. And what I'm doing here is just want to suggest these indentations at the teeth. So let's say that's one tooth, that's another tooth, there's a third tooth, and we're seeing part of this tooth over here. So this is, now I'm painting just this little pointed triangular indentation that would be there between the two middle teeth, and now this one is kind of what would be there. We can't see all of that third tooth. It falls into shadow. But that's done. That's all that takes. I mean, it's a very simple thing. We're just trying to indicate it. Now what I want to do I've got a little pink on my brush, and I want to come down from the top using a little bit of gum, showing a little bit of gum line, and just a tiny bit. But you notice that I match it up with the gray indentation below it, the more pinkish indentation above it that represents the gum. Same thing over here to separate these two teeth a little bit. And lastly over here to separate this partial tooth over here from this full tooth over here. Now, that's all I'm doing. Never will I draw a line between the teeth. I've indicated enough to give us the impression of a line between the teeth. Now I've cleaned my brush once again, and I've loaded it with a mixture of burnt umber, not much burnt umber, and white, a lot of white. And now I'm actually painting the teeth, because I don't want the teeth to be white. I want them to be near white, off-white, whatever you want to call it, but not pure white. Now, while I've still got that white, very light burnt umber mixture on my brush, I'm going to blend a little bit here on this tooth where it fades from being a tooth to being a shadow. And a little bit over here, same thing. I don't want a hard line there. I want that tooth to fade into shadow. This one too. Now I've picked up a little bit of, I've cleaned my brush again. I picked up a little bit of pure white. I think you can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make these teeth whitest where they would be whitest. They would not be at their whitest right under the upper lip because it's going to shadow them a little bit. Where they would be at their lightest is low on the tooth, right down in this area. So I'm not making them white here, but I'm blending a little of this white in with my mixture of burnt umber and white to make them lightest where they would be lightest. So that would be the whitest part of my tooth. Right down there. And that's about it. That's all you need to do to paint a mouth. A mouth is not meant to be the focal part of your painting. The focal part of your painting is going to be the eyes. But the mouth just needs to be realistic. It needs to have that illusion of roundness. It needs to have the upper lip darker, corners of the lips darkest, particularly when the mouth is open like this. And you need to put a highlight, particularly if you're painting a grown woman, a glamorous woman like this. She's likely to be wearing lipstick or lip gloss. Her lips are going to be shiny. So she picks up some highlight right through this area as I've painted it. That's all you need to do. The lips are not one of the hard parts of painting a portrait. They're actually one of the easy parts. Again, my name is Lance Porter. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you check out some of my other videos on YouTube and join me sometime online at learntopaintportraits.com. Thanks for watching.